NASA's Artemis 1 mission to the moon will be the first big step towards sending people back to the surface of the moon. The new space launch system megarocket and the Orion crew capsule will be tested for the first time on Artemis 1. The unmanned Orion spacecraft will be sent on a 42-day mission by the SLS rocket. During that time, it'll orbit the moon before coming back to Earth. So, what's next for NASA's Artemis 1 mission? Watch the video to find out. Welcome to Techmo. So, without any more delay, let's get to the video right away. The most recent attempt by NASA to send the Artemis 1 spacecraft to the moon has been scrubbed due to concerns regarding the tropical storm Ian, which is expected to make landfall in Florida within the next few days. The launch of the rocket had been scheduled for the 27th of September. The launch of NASA's new lunar orbiting rocket, which is part of the Artemis program to return humans to the surface of the moon, has been delayed once again as a result of this development. The most recent launch attempt has been scrubbed. Hydrogen leaks were among the reasons why previous launch attempts had to be cancelled, but this latest attempt has been scrubbed because of the storm. If NASA decides to return Artemis 1 to the vehicle assembly building, the launch could be delayed until November. Another launch attempt could take place on October the 2nd if the rocket remains on its launch pad. On September 21st, NASA made the announcement that the objectives of a cryogenic demonstration test had been met and that other safety checks had been made, including the successful troubleshooting of a fix to a hydrogen leak that occurred during an earlier attempt at launch. Because of this, many people were holding out hope that Artemis 1 would finally get off the ground on September 27th. Earlier attempts to launch the mission had been scrapped due to safety concerns. Engineers discovered a hydrogen leak in a section connecting the liquid hydrogen-fueled feed line and the Space Launch System rocket. The launch of the new mission to the moon had been scheduled for September the 3rd, but it was postponed because of the leak. According to a statement released by NASA, the organization will forego additional launch attempts in early September. After that, the rocket and the spacecraft were rolled back into the vehicle assembly building so that the batteries in the system could be reset. This happened before a new launch attempt could be scheduled. This information arrived in the wake of a failed launch attempt that took place on Monday, August 29th. During the launch attempt on August 29th, there were a few problems that occurred, one of which was that the teams were unable to adequately cool the spacecraft for RS-25 engines, with Engine 3 exhibiting higher temperatures than the others. Additionally, a hydrogen leak was discovered on the umbilical quick disconnect located on the tail service mast. There are likely to be additional opportunities for launch between now and October the 4th, but the 27th of September is currently being considered as the next time NASA will try to launch the Artemis 1 satellite. It is imperative that the launch takes place during these times in order to guarantee that the spacecraft will arrive at the moon without being eclipsed for more than 90 minutes at any point in its journey. Artemis 1 will lift off from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, which is located in Florida, United States of America. Launchpad 39B, from which all of the Apollo missions that traveled to the moon departed Earth, will be the location from which the Space Launch System will lift off into space. In the nearby Vehicle Assembly Building, the rocket and the Orion spacecraft were put together to form what is known as the stack. It was brought to the launch pad for the first time in March of 2022, but it was brought back to the VAB in July so that it could be repaired. Also, if this is your first time watching us, make sure to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can watch our future videos and stay up to date. Now getting back to the point, on August 18th, it was released to the public for what was supposed to be the final time. On average, the 6.4-kilometer trip aboard NASA's Crawler Transporter, a massive vehicle that weighs 3 million kilograms and can travel no faster than 1 kilometer per hour, took approximately 10 hours to complete each time. Following the launch, the Artemis 1 spacecraft will initially enter Earth orbit. Orion's upper stage, also known as the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, will carry out its translunar injection burn once all of its systems have been validated. This will cause Orion to be propelled in the direction of the moon. Orion will spend the next week or so traveling approximately 385,000 kilometers towards the moon. Once the burn has been completed, the ICPS will detach. it'll enter into a retrograde orbit, which means that it'll move in the opposite direction to the moon's spin. This orbit will bring it to a distance of 97 kilometers from the surface of the moon at its closest approach, and it'll travel out to a distance of 64,000 kilometers from the far side of the moon, breaking the previous record for distance set by Apollo 13. Artemis 1 intends to remain at the moon for several weeks, which is significantly longer than any of the planned lunar missions, in order to conduct comprehensive testing of all of Orion's systems. Artemis 1 does not have any humans on board, but it does have two female-bodied model torsos. Their names are Sohar and Helga, and they will be used to test the effects of deep space radiation on women for the very first time. In the meantime, a full-bodied male mannequin with the name Commander Munikin Campos is putting the vibration dampening system for the astronaut seats through its paces. There will also be a doll of Shaun the Sheep, who hails from the UK, serving as the fourth astronaut on board. Once it's done in lunar orbit, Artemis 1 will take another week to get back to Earth so that it can test the landing system on the spacecraft. After re-entering the atmosphere, the Artemis 1 will be moving at a speed of approximately 40,000 kilometers per hour. First, it'll use air braking, which will cause the protective heat shield to reach a temperature of 2,800 degrees Celsius. Its 11 parachutes will deploy in sequence when it is 7.6 kilometers above the Pacific Ocean, bringing its speed down to just 32 kilometers per hour by the time it splashes down just off the coast of San Diego, where a ship will be waiting to recover it. The mission is expected to last between 42 days, during which it'll cover 2.1 million kilometers in total distance traveled. In the event that Artemis 1 is successful, it'll pave the way for Artemis 2, which is scheduled to take place in 2024, and it'll be the first crewed flight to the moon since 1972. The mission will take a crew of 4 on a trip around the moon that will be significantly shorter and won't even enter lunar orbit. Instead, it'll spend only 10 days traveling to the moon and then going all the way around it before returning directly to Earth. After this has been completed without incident, the next step will be the landing mission known as Artemis 3, which will take place in 2025. In addition to this, it'll transport the human landing system that is currently being developed by SpaceX. This system will transport 2 crew members to the surface of the moon. Both missions have not yet disclosed the members of their crews, but the Artemis team, which is part of NASA, already has a group of 18 astronauts chosen for it. Alongside these individuals will be several astronauts from the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, and the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. Tim Peake, an active astronaut from the UK, is a member of the European Space Agency. What we do know is that at least one of the people who walk on the moon during the Artemis 3 mission will be a woman, and that either this mission or one that'll take place in the future will include the first person of color to walk on the moon. So that's all for today's video. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, then hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you will always be notified.